Hello, and welcome to Graham Jam. This is my weekly Wednesday at 4:30 short concert, a little 15-minute concert. Gives me an opportunity to do some performing, gives you an opportunity to take a little break, you hard worker, you. Anyway, I entitled today's program Random because it was just all these sort of random things that were floating to the top of my brain today. And not today, yesterday actually, I planned my program, and I figured that I would just give you a couple of random little pieces of music in the flute repertoire. So I'm going to get right to it, and the first piece I'm going to do is a one-movement piece called Madrigal, and it is by the French composer Philippe Gaubert. Gaubert was not only a composer, he was also a conductor. He conducted the Paris Opera Orchestra, among other notable things. He was a flutist and a flute teacher and taught at the Paris Conservatory. And again, he was also a composer, and most of his works were just written for flute and piano. This piece is, as I mentioned, a one-movement piece, and you can really hear the influence of two of the composers that he greatly admired, Gabriel Fauré and César Franck. I should say Franck. César Franck. This piece was written in 1908, and it does not appear to have any dedication. So again, this is the Gaubert Madrigal for flute and piano, and I'm just getting my fake YouTube accompanist ready. She's not fake, actually. Does very well. Okay, here we go. that before I have an ad for Cheetos come on, because that often happens. Anyway, so that was the Madrigal of Philippe Gaubert. The next piece I'm going to play is a movement from a sonata by the German composer Karl Reinecke. The sonata is subtitled Undine, and it has a really interesting story that goes along with it. And I'd like to share that story with you. Actually, I'm only going to share part of the story. So it's actually, hold on, let me just make sure that this is all set up properly. Anyway, the story is, or the piece, sorry, is based upon a German folktale, or not even a folktale. I guess it's a romantic tale by a composer or a writer whose name I'm completely forgetting at this point, and it's called Undine. And each movement of the piece, there are 4 movements, each movement depicts part of the story of this romantic tale. Now this movement is a newlywed couple is at home, and it's very romantic, and they're just like keeping house together, and isn't that lovely, and everything's wonderful. Now, unbeknownst to the man of the house, the woman that he has married is actually an underwater spirit, and she wanted to be immortal, and so the only way she could do that was to marry a mortal man. And so she did, but her uncle, who also happens to be a water spirit, doesn't like this whole thing. And so in the middle of this movement, you're going to hear a moment where this fountain comes up in the middle of their house, and there's all this water everywhere in their home, kind of disrupting this beautiful, romantic, and lovely bucolic scene. And you can hear the exact moment where they take a big boulder and they place it on top of the fountain so that there's not water everywhere. And then they kind of continue with all their lovey-dovey ways and making this beautiful home together. Now, I will tell you that the story does not end well for all of the characters, Undine, and maybe I should play this entire sonata sometime and tell the whole story that goes along with it. But anyway, this is the romantic movement, the 3rd movement, which is marked Andante Tranquillo, but there is a molto vivace section in the middle, which is where the fountain bubbles all over the place. So here we go. It's just so lovely and romantic. I really enjoy that one a lot. All right, so again, I've got to turn my volume down because I'm getting these accompaniments off of YouTube, and very often a Cheetos commercial will come up and it sort of ruins the vibe. But I guess if I'm talking about it, it also ruins the vibe. So anyway, the last piece that I'm going to play today is actually the first movement of a sonatina by a composer named Eldin Burton. Now, Eldin Burton is not really known to have written any other pieces except for this sonatina for flute, which is in 3 movements. And it is dedicated to the flutist Samuel Barron. They were classmates together at Juilliard. The piece was written in, I'm forgetting, 1947. And it was actually the winner of the New York Flute Club composition contest, I believe. And I think it was premiered either in 1947 or 1948 by Samuel Barron, who I did have the honor of meeting on a couple of occasions. Not as a teacher, although he was one of those people that you could learn a lot from just by being in his presence. But anyway, Eldin Burton did not write any other pieces besides this, at least not that we know of. He actually started to work for Schirmer Publications, so he still had a career that was in music, but just not writing music. But I think this is a little gem of a piece, and this is the first movement, the Allegretto Grazioso of Eldin Burton. that is it, the end of my very random program today. I thank those of you who joined me live for joining me, and anyone who's watching on the replay. I thank you also, and if you joined in late, I am going to save this video and post it back up on my Facebook page so that you can see it. So anyway, I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.